Hey y'all, it's Kim. So I got another one for you, Ms. Rita with the lefties losing it. Oh my goodness. I've already watched this one, but I had to share because it's like, there's so much in there. Oh, but I've been having problems with my computer, like I said in my previous video. So if it drops again, I don't know what to do. I'm just like, this is making me mad. But anyway, I got
It's
several
time
things to
for
share.
lefties losing it, and there has been much controversy among the humorless, joyless left because this alleged comic, Amber Ruffin, has been removed as the headline act for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a tragedy for comedy. Let's get back to the monologue. During the Houston Astros World Series victory parade on Monday, Senator Ted Cruz was reportedly hit with a beer can in the chest and neck. It missed his spine because he doesn't have one. Oh dear. She's not only
That's not
painfully unfunny, she's
funny.
also a lefty losing it who intended to use the occasion to grandstand. You're kind of a bunch of murderers.
Murderers, really?
I mean,
Like how?
so like they were like, you need to be, equal and make sure that you give it to both sides and blah blah blah. I was like,
Okay, but we want to talk about murderers, really? So y'all are wanting gang members and rapists and stuff like that to stay in America. You're approving of reproductive rights, but it's actually abortion disguised in a new way. Yeah, I don't want to hear about that from these people. They're so fake. I mean, how many people were killed because the Democrats needed more voters to come in, so that's why the border was open. Yeah, give me a break.
there's no way I'm going to be freaking doing that, dude. Murderers. And speaking on the podcast you saw there, of far left clown site, The Daily Beast, Amber Ruffin revealed just what a nasty lefty she is, saying Republicans are not even human.
Wow.
Just that burns on Trump hurt badly. And then it trickles down to everyone who's around him because y'all also guilty. So I think they got their feelings hurt. And they want that false equivalency that the media does. They want that. It feels great. It makes them feel like human beings. But they shouldn't get to feel that way because they're not. Some
They're not humans, really? Isn't that what Hitler called the Jews? I mean, I believe I read that somewhere. They used to categorize them as like subhuman. But I guess any culture or any country or leader that wants to make somebody look bad is going to call them something other than what they are, is another human being, no matter who it is. Oh, these people are so disgusting. So disgusting.
people are more culpable than others. That's right. And they get more jokes made about them, and the jokes are meaner. And of course, the
Wow.
miserable, joyless ladies of the View thought that last line was hilarious. Look at the immediate reactions here when they played the clip. It makes them feel like human beings, but they shouldn't get to feel that way because they're not.
Yeah, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Charming. Think they all need psychological help, but just not from this next lady who claims to be a psychologist. And she has this important question for Americans. Genuine question for Trump supporters and supporters of Musk and RFK. I'm just asking a genuine, honest question for you. Is there anything at all, anything at all that they could do to lose your support at this point? Yes.
Okay, that was creepy. I think she's been hitting her own stash of Xanax or wine, and maybe she's mixing the two together. What was that? And then she's like 70 years old with the ring in her nose. Come on. What the hell was that? If she's supposed to be a psychologist, you would think she would know how to cope with certain things. Okay, got it.
If Trump, Musk, RFK, any of them appear with a septum ring, I'm going to assume that they have lost their minds and disregard anything they have to say.
Yes.
That's all it's going to take. Let's go back to the View and watch here as the ladies nod along like I'm thinking idiots, as this lefty, Ellie Mistal, claims that No law
Grace
passed before
Bader.
1965 should be respected.
My premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act?
Now, we will get to Cory Booker's descent into madness shortly, but first, the polling for the Democrats continues to hit new lows. We are now looking at 21% approval ratings for Democrats in Congress. Here is CNN.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this, the plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible.
Joining me now is host of a new program,
and they deserve it.
Link Lauren on Megyn Kelly's network. Link, even the majority of Democrats do not approve of the Democrats in Congress.
Great to be back with you, Rita. This is because the Democrats have lost their darn minds. The Democrats are also choosing these ridiculous hills to die on. If you look at the data, 79% of Americans in a recent New York Times Ipsos poll, they tell you they do not want men and women's sports. So what do the Democrats do the next day? They go out and vote to keep men and women's sports. If you look at these polls, an overwhelming majority of Americans, they support mass deportations. They support deporting criminals. What do the Democrats do? They go on TV and say, no, we can't do these mass deportations. This is racist. This is xenophobic. So the Democrats are coming down on the wrong side of every single issue, and it's why people are leaving the Democratic Party in droves.
Well, you talked about the Democrats losing their minds. Here's another candidate. This is just incredible. Cory Booker talked nonstop for 25 hours. This is filibustering.
One of the top stupidest questions in America. You've gotten this question. I think you would agree with me. You're not the kind of guy that uses words like, hey, this is stupid, but this is stupid. The thing I heard, the stupid question.
Is he delirious from not sleeping for 24 hours of talking? About what?
Oh, yes, heroic there. You can see the applause from the other Democrats when he broke the record for the longest speech. Tell me why.
Well, I really couldn't tell you why Cory Booker is standing there for 25 hours running his mouth. But what I can tell you is, if this is the best the Democrats have to offer, if this is the face of the resistance, I think the Republicans are going to be okay. Cory Booker wants to show he's an alpha. He's a masculine guy. They're standing there in an air-conditioned room talking about nonsense for 25 hours. This is not an alpha masculine guy. President Trump got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th and stood up with blood streaming down his face saying, fight, fight, fight. That is an alpha and an image of strength people can relate to. Cory Booker looked like a clown.
Well, part of the crisis facing the Democrats is that they are doubling it down on that leftist lunacy you mentioned. And part of that is attacking Elon Musk. I mean, these unhinged, demented, hate-filled attacks against Elon Musk, labeling him a Nazi, a threat to democracy. And sadly, it's backed by the media, some of this hysteria. And this is something Joe Rogan touched on recently.
Because right now they lost to Trump. They're in this scattered thing where they're trying to on everything he does, hide all the good stuff. You didn't hear a peep about Elon rescuing those people. That should have been on all of the news stories all day long. It should have been a huge national event. We're finally going to rescue the astronauts who are trapped in the space station for 8 months. And this super genius, this Elon Musk character, is the guy who figured out how to go get them. His company went and rescued them because we can't do it anymore.
He's 100% right there. They were stranded there for months. It was supposed to be a 7-day mission because NASA couldn't get them. So Elon steps in to do that. It's successful. It should have just been a moment that united the country, this moment of triumph. And yet it was barely covered because it helps Elon Musk, it helps Donald Trump.
Well, what I find so funny about these Democrats calling Elon Musk a threat to democracy, they didn't think it was a threat to democracy having a brain-dead president, Joe Biden, for the last 4 years. That wasn't a threat to democracy. Open borders, hundreds of thousands of people pouring through the border every single month, bringing fentanyl, drugs, and crime, MS-13, Tren de Aragua. That wasn't a threat to democracy to the Democrats. All of a sudden, Elon Musk, who has an American-made electric vehicle company, this is the guy they are waging war on. I think all of these people who are burning down Teslas, burning down dealerships, storming dealerships, you all are domestic terrorists. Tom Homan and Kristi Noem need to snatch you up. They need to put you on the planes and send you to Guantanamo. We can send the women of The View to Guantanamo, Meghan Markle, and then also these people who are vandalizing Teslas. You guys can all go together because Elon Musk is trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government, right? Throughout history, the person trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse is usually the hero, but because he's working with Trump, suddenly he's the boogeyman to the left, Rita.
How complicit is the media in these attacks we're seeing against Tesla dealerships, against Tesla drivers? 61-year-old woman was beaten. I mean, I've shown some incredible footage in recent weeks of just violent domestic terrorism. There's no other way to describe it because these attacks are politically motivated. Do you hold the media at all accountable for some of this behavior?
So I do hold the media somewhat accountable for this behavior, the burning down Teslas and storming dealerships, because these networks like MSNBC, they're the ones who are talking to these rich, white, liberal, affluent women, and most of them are the ones going and protesting outside of Tesla dealership.
Well, and I also blame the congressional members that have been coming out saying stuff about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I mean, you are radicalizing these people. I mean, they're basically useful idiots where the congressional member, man or woman, does not have to get their hands dirty. All they've got to do is say, oh, this person's bad, this person's bad, this person's bad. Just keep repeating that. And the media is also involved with that. And so then you've got somebody that's kind of like mentally unstable and easily influenced. And they're already mad thinking that their rights have been taken away, even though that's not even been shown. They're willing to do whatever's possible to stop the momentum of the Trump administration. So all these Congress people have to do is say, oh, this person's a Nazi, this person's a fascist, this person's a dictator, authoritarian, whatever word you want to throw out there. And their constituents are actually going to listen to that and go do these protests and burn up stuff and throw Molotov cocktails and spray paint everything, thinking they're helping the environment. When the whole point that they're missing is, hello, Elon Musk has probably the only company that would be able to fulfill the EV mandate had we still had that in place. He was like their hero for environmental stuff and the climate change and everything else. Now they hate his guts because he's working with Trump. Anything associated with Trump, then he's mad, or they're mad, excuse me. I mean, it's just craziness. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Well, let's keep going. Down with the traitor.
Most Americans, they got to go to work. They don't have time to stand outside the dealership with a little sign and doing a chant. They have to go and provide for their families. So I do hold MSNBC accountable, but they did this for years, right? They called Donald Trump a threat to democracy. They called him a dictator. They called him a Nazi, Hitler, a fascist. They smeared Donald Trump for years, and we saw the horrific repercussions of those smears the last few years.
Now, the Democrats have been called the party of miserable women and weak men, and you've spoken about the beta male phenomenon. Explain to my audience what you mean by that and what that means in the political climate, because we are seeing more and more young men gravitate to the right whilst women are going increasingly to the left.
So I've been talking about this a lot recently. We've seen polls, we've seen focus groups tons of men are shifting to the right politically. They're leaving the Democratic Party in droves. They're identifying as Republicans, as MAGA, as independents, as MAHA, because the Democratic Party is unrecognizable. They can't even define what a man or a woman is. So how is that inviting two men? And also, the Democratic Party, like you said, is run by a bunch of beta males. If you look at Tim Walz, he's a beta male. You look at Cory Booker, beta male. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. And then you look at the women on the forefront of the Democratic Party, Elizabeth Warren, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman DeLauro. They are shrill, obnoxious women that no man wants to spend 5 minutes listening to. Men are also tired of apologizing for their masculinity. Men are tired of on the left having to say, I'm so sorry. Was I mansplaining? Was I being toxically masculine? Was I sitting with my legs too far apart? Was I manspreading? Men are tired of this malarkey, this tomfoolery. That's why they're shifting to the right.
Well, a man who's kind of presented himself as a alpha masculine, Alec Baldwin, well, after that interaction we saw on the red carpet, perhaps that's not what he is. And there's been more fallout from that Alec and Hilaria Baldwin interaction, that humiliating video. I'm not going to show it again. We know what we're talking about, where she berates him on the red carpet in front of everybody. Now, some industry insiders are speaking out, saying that Alec has terrorized movie sets for years, and this is karma. Link, what have you got to say about that?
So I guess this could be some kind of karma for Alec Baldwin, but for all the men out there, listen to me. If you choose to procreate with a woman who is insane and crazy and has multiple personalities and thinks she's from Spain when she's from Boston, don't cry over spilled milk. Don't cry for me, Argentina, when things aren't hunky-dory at home. So Alec Baldwin, he knew what he was doing. He had 7 kids with Hilaria, even though she's really Hillary from Boston, okay? She's from the Spanish coast of Boston, I guess. So if you go to bed and have 7 kids with a crazy woman, don't cry over spilled milk. I have no sympathy for you. Alec Baldwin, you made your bed, lie in it.
So disrespectful, though.
That is harsh. But you know what? I cannot get over this fake Hispanic accent and forgetting English words. Well, she's not Hispanic. She's not Latin. Where is she getting this from? Before you go, how is Hollywood in general coping with a second Trump term? Is the hatred for all things Trump as deep as it's been in the past? They're finally realizing it's probably not a good idea to alienate at least half the country, or are they too set in their ways? Are they disregarding the box office and focused on their activism?
So I do think there is a little bit of a reckoning and a wake-up call happening in Hollywood. You kind of have to hit them over the head with it. They really have to have some big flops to come to terms with the fact 77 million Americans voted for President Trump, right? Republicans, MAGA, they have buying power, they have purchasing power, they go to the movie theaters. They are not going to put their money where their mouth is for a project that denigrates everything conservative values stand for. And that's what we've seen in Hollywood. Hollywood has gone so woke, they've gone so left, they've gone so progressive, they tried to denigrate the nuclear family in this country. So I think unless they start embracing these Republicans and 77 million Americans who voted for Trump, they will continue to fade into obsolescence. Like we saw with Sound of Freedom and some of these films the last few years, there is money there. Republicans will go to the box office, but the movie has to be good and it has to speak to them.
Yeah. Yes, and it can't patronize and just be ticking boxes. This is what we are seeing with so many productions, whether it's TV or movies, where they have to have the DEI checklist completed before they actually worry about whether it's a decent product or not. Link, Lauren, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for your time tonight.
Speaking of the DEI stuff, let me see if I can find this. Somebody posted, I'm hoping I can find it, like Disney's list of DEI stuff. Let's see if we can find it. Disney DEI checklist. Because it was like they had to have so many. Let's see here. Disney Corp asks employees to complete. What? White privilege? No. A list of Disney. Let's see if this will pull up. Give it just a moment. I heard this on Benny Johnson. So let's see if it'll pull it up. Okay, so here's a list of Disney diversity requirements. It makes me want to make a movie just to avoid following these rules. Let's see if we can open this up some more. Oh, shoot, it's not going to get there. Let me see if I can share it. No, it won't let me do that. It's probably better just go back to it. So, standard A on-screen representation, it says 50% or more of regular and recurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. A5, I'm just skipping down here. It says episodic storytelling, ongoing meaningful interaction of underrepresented groups and episodic themes and narratives. Standard B, it says 50% or more of producer and above on writing staff, and 50% or more co-producer and below on writing staff come from underrepresented groups. And then let's see, meaningful representation of underrepresented groups and senior creative leadership. Um, Standard C below the line, it's like 50% or more of line producer and or production department heads, composer, costume designer, editor. So basically back office stuff. Uh, Production designer, music supervisor come from underrepresented groups. And then promotion of member of underrepresented group into a role that constitutes career progression for at least one crew or team member, hiring a line producer and or production department head who has not been previously employed in that role on a DGE show. And then it says context is critical when evaluating if a group is underrepresented. Underrepresented. It says anyone involved in hiring decisions is prohibited from making candidates and talent or asking candidates and talent about their actual or perceived race, religion, color. What else does it say? Orientation, gender identity, military or veteran status, age, disability, and any other legally protected categories. Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is because you mentioned the DEI stuff, but also the fact that you've got the Snow White movie that bombed spectacularly. Let's see if that will pull up for me. And then let's see here. Snow White. I don't know. It just made me think while we're talking about the Hollywood stuff or even just Disney movies in general. Like, it says the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt absolutely unleashes on Rachel Ziegler for ruining his father's movie. Jonah Platt is ripping the 23-year-old actress for getting political and ruining Snow White. Let's look at their IMDb right quick for Snow White. I want to see what that said, what their rating is right now. I saw it was pretty low, like a 2.1 or 1.1, 1 point something. Snow White. All right. So, okay. So the IMDb rating is 1.5 out of 10 with 295, I guess, thousand people. They're one. Hold on. What is this? What is that? I don't want to add to my watch list. I just want to see what it says. I don't see how that would be at number one. What is this based on? It says most popular movies. How is that the most popular? Maybe because people are actually coming on here looking it up. It doesn't mean that it's actually being watched. But at a 1.5, really? Oh, see, somebody else had a 1.7. When was this done? On the 26th. So now they're at a 1.5. So yeah, I mean, anything you make woke, it's just gonna ruin it. People are done with this nonsense.
Thanks for having me.
Now it's time for the Golden Age. Elections have consequences, and yes, it is the beginning of the Golden Age, all right. The latest figures have just been released, and they show that the Trump administration has resolved the illegal immigration crisis. It's no longer a crisis, with the numbers crossing illegally at the US-Mexico border falling
I voted
yet
for
again
that.
in March, hitting a new record low. Just 7,000 crossed illegally. Remember, we were seeing 200,000 plus a month under the Biden administration. The March data is a 94% reduction from the same time last year, March last year. Department of Homeland Security agents call it the Trump effect. One DHS source told the New York Post, migrants are scared there are consequences now.
There should have
Everyone
been
who is caught
consequences
is charged
before.
and does time. Remember when the Democrats and their propaganda arm, the bulk of the mainstream media, claimed that it was impossible for Biden to fix the problem he created? I remember.
Republicans keep saying Biden doesn't need Congress. He can stop what's happening at the border all by himself. Can you fact check that for us? Because we here all know that's not true.
Republicans have been saying, largely wrongly, right? Because saying that the president can close the border unilaterally on his own. The president actually doesn't have the authority under law to do that.
There's only so much President Biden can do
Yeah,
with
right.
executive action, and he did try to do whatever he could. They actually are doing everything they can.
President's hands are tied. There's only so much that he can do.
President Biden has issued certain executive orders, but there's only so much he can do within his purview.
What an intractable problem this is for the president with no easy solutions. No easy solutions here.
There are no easy solutions here, folks.
The president insisting there's only so much he can do without Congress.
How much can actually be done quickly without Congress acting?
How would this happen without the power of the purse, without Congress getting involved? They need Congress to act to fix the broken immigration system.
This cannot happen without Congress resourcing this.
There's only so much a president can do with his pen and his phone.
Yep. Remember what Trump said. Let's see here. Order. Let's see. Trump on the fake voter numbers pushed by the Biden administration. Not that. Ooh. So let me back it up. Hold on. Let me go back over here. Trump on border. Joint professional address. Yes, my house is loud, so if you hear noise, that somebody's home. Let's see what this says.
Biden, and that was his better. He started around the election working a little bit harder, and they got a little bit better. It was horrible still. So we're comparing it to his best time, comparing it to the worst time. It's like, it's not even, you can't calculate it how much better. So we have now the best border we've ever had, and we did that in a period of 5 weeks. Pretty amazing, actually.
Does that imply that we don't need to add a bunch of money and forces? In fact, maybe you could draw down or reappoint the force and manpower that's down there, and we don't need new laws and new money?
Well, you don't need very many new laws, because I did it without new laws. I did it twice without new laws. I had the best border ever. And now I think we're going to beat those numbers. I actually think these numbers might be slightly better, and we're going to get them better yet. And I said during the speech on Tuesday night, I said that he didn't need anything. He just needed a new president.
Yes,
I said,
exactly.
close the border, and they closed the border. He could have done the same thing. I think he wanted open borders. I don't know if he did, but somebody in there that ran the operation, nobody really knows.
Somebody needed it or wanted it. Let's see. Well, anyway, I don't want to keep going on and on about this, but pretty much we know what the situation was with the border. Uh, anyway, I'm gonna make another video on all the stuff about Elon Musk, all the memes that I've found. But I will talk to y'all later. Have a good afternoon. See y'all. Bye.